Suan Sanche's death has unfortunate implications for Logain Abla's story in The Wheel of Time. Thanks to Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time books, it was always likely that Season 3 would have a tragic ending to Suan's story, but the episode went much further than the source material dictated. In the fourth book, The Shadow Rising, Suan was stilled by the Aes Sedai, but in the show's version of the event, she was stilled and executed immediately afterward. What happened to Suan is sure to cause shockwaves throughout the show, considering that she had a long and meaningful arc that stretched far beyond The Shadow Rising. In addition to all the adventures she shared that the show has just taken off the table for future seasons, it's also severely impacted the plotlines of several other key Wheel of Time characters as well, with the most obvious of which being Egwene Ulvir, Leen Sharif, Verin Mathwin, and of course, the character responsible for her death, Elada. Another character this will have an effect on is Logain, who had an exciting future ahead of him before Suan's fate was changed. Suan Sanche's death blocked the show from delivering a great Logain moment. Suan Sanche, Sophie Okonedo, with wounds all over her body in The Wheel of Time Season 3 EP8. Image via Prime Video. Following her removal from her position as a Merlin seat and stilling, Suan was thrown in a dungeon where she had a reunion with the imprisoned Logain. This cliffhanger ending set up an escape attempt in the sequel, The Fires of Heaven. The book picked up where The Shadow Rising left off, with Suan, Logain, Leen, and Minute Farshaw escaping from the White Tower and going on an adventure together. Their experiences provided the setup for the Wheel of Time book's Aes Sedai Rebellion arc, as it led to Suan and Leen becoming key members of the Aes Sedai rebel group based in Salada. It made sense to assume that the Wheel of Time Season 3 was headed in a similar direction. After all, the show's version of Logain is also a prisoner of the Aes Sedai at this point in the timeline. With that in mind, Season 3 easily could have ended on an exciting cliffhanger where Suan meets Logain again. Her final scene in the episode could have shown her locking eyes on a gloating Logain as she comes to terms with the horrible new reality facing her. This would have been an interesting way to bring Logain back into the picture and set up a great storyline for both characters. Instead, the character was left out of Season 3 entirely, and there was no indication of him becoming relevant in the fourth season either. The Wheel of Time would struggle to replace Suan in Logain's arc. While there will be no adventure shared between the two characters in the Wheel of Time's future, that's not to say Logain won't be escaping from the White Tower anytime soon. Theoretically, some version of this arc could still happen. However, it'll be difficult to recreate what the books were able to deliver with another character serving as a stand-in for Suan. It's what Suan represents that would have made this such a compelling scenario for the Wheel of Time Season 4. As the Merlin seat, Suan bears responsibility for most of the official actions taken by the Aes Sedai, including the gentling of Logain. Suan and Logain being forced to share each other's company would have come with a great deal of storytelling potential. To Logain, Suan is the person responsible for all the pain he's endured, and to Suan, Logain is the false dragon who ruthlessly killed multiple Aes Sedai who served under her. In normal circumstances, they'd be hated enemies. An alliance between Logain and any stilled Aes Sedai would naturally have some tension to it, but it wouldn't come close to the pairing of Logain and the once powerful Amorin seat, whose downfall is something he'd surely revel in. Being paired with Logain would have amounted to some fascinating character moments for Suan as well. Though it's known that she came from poverty, she hasn't had to live through such hardships since becoming the Merlin seat. Having no choice but to trust someone who would gladly see her dead would most assuredly create a dramatic challenge for her character to tackle in Season 4. What Suan Sanche's death means for Logain's story. A close-up of Logain with a thread of the One Power in front of his face in the Wheel of Time. Suan Sanche's death limits the Wheel of Time's options when it comes to Logain's future, but in spite of him missing out on Season 3, there's a good chance he'll be back regardless. However, it does signal a reduced role in any potential adaptation of The Fires of Heaven. The book devoted a large amount of time to Suan's group as they made distance between themselves and the White Tower before eventually winding up in Salada to set up the Aes Sedai Rebellion arc in Lord of Chaos. The rebellion is a key part of the wider narrative, so it's still likely to happen, but by killing off Suan, the show has indicated that it'll be less prominent in its interpretation. The setup for it could play out off-screen, rather than take the form of a multi-episode, single-season storyline. If that's the case, most of, if not all, of this chapter in Logain's story could get skipped over. After all, it shouldn't be forgotten that the cast of characters that would be involved in this story has already shrunk considerably, with Suan being dead and Minute having already left the White Tower. Logain and Leen may be the only ones it would follow. With that in mind, Logain may not become relevant to the plot until the Wheel of Time advances all the way to the Black Tower plotline. In Lord of Chaos, Rand al'Thor decided to form the Black Tower, which would act as a headquarters for his army of male channelers. Eventually, his efforts attracted the attention of Logain, who joined up with Rand. It could be that this is when Logain will develop a greater presence in the story.